Hello, this presentation we're going to talk a little bit about VA loans and some of the VA benefits involved with real estate. I am not a lender, however I do have some very experienced lenders that specialize in VA loans. So let's go ahead and get started. Just a quick overview. A lot of Michigan isn't really a very military center point, so there's not a lot of people that use the VA loans, and in the past the VA interest rate hasn't been that competitive. However, these last couple of years a lot of people have been using the VA financing option. So a little bit of background information on the VA. This was an article published by the Detroit News in April of 2015. Kind of gives a little bit of background on how VA isn't really utilized a lot in Michigan. They show that we're 46th out of 50 states in Michigan on the lowest spending for the VA benefits. And this isn't only just the loan program, but health benefits and some other things that it also is incorporated. The overall population of veterans has kind of dropped over the last few years, and the veterans that are in Michigan are about a third of them are in the Metro Detroit area. So we'll get started on the VA guaranteed loan. Some of the benefits: it's reusable. It's not just available once. 100% down financing. So it's one of the last programs that really is a true 100% finance program. If you go above the loan limit, sometimes you might need a down payment. There's no mortgage insurance. There is a one-time VA funding fee that we'll go over, and there are loan limits. And this can be assumed by other veterans, so it is an assumable loan. The lender may have some minimum requirements, and if you fall behind on the loan, there's staff available at the VA that can help you get back on track. The eligibility, if you go to the VA's website, it lists out the whole purchase process, and some of it might be a little bit confusing. But if you were a veteran, each war has different length requirements. So, if you were in the Vietnam War, you might just need 90 days to be eligible. And it's also available for people who are currently serving, and they just want 90 days there. So reference this chart to see if you're eligible. It's also available to National Guard and Reservists. They want 6 years of continuous service. Most all of them want you to be discharged honorably to be eligible for this program, and that's pretty much with all branches of service. So other eligible persons that people may not realize is your spouse may be able to be, if you were married to a veteran and they are now deceased, or you never got married again, you might be eligible. If you're a U.S. citizen, or you may have gotten your citizenship at a later date and you served with an ally of the U.S. in a war, you might be eligible. As well as there's many other branches, some Coast Guard Academy, if you're going to school, or NOAA, some other branches, the Public Health Service officers. So there's several other branches of the military and armed services that are eligible. So make sure you explore those options. The loan qualification itself, some of the key criteria: there's no maximum debt to income ratio. However, if you go over 41%, the lender's going to really look into your file and see what those compensating factors are. Most every state in the U.S., the loan limit is $417,000. Granted, if you are borrowing that exact amount, the VA funding fee may push you over. So that is in combination of the VA funding fee and your purchase price. All of Michigan, the limit is $417,000. The income guidelines may include all your living expenses, so it might be a little more thorough. And there's no minimum credit score requirements. So the this is we'll talk a little bit about experience later in the slide, but this is where an experienced lender in VA really helps in this part of the process in letting you know. A lot of lenders are not up to date on VA guidelines, so I can recommend one for you. So how do you get started? I can have one of these lenders give you a call. They'll need the DD-214 form, which is basically a one-page service history, and the lender has some resources on some quick ways to obtain those, or here is a website. And some when you're requesting this, some different branches may require some codes. So on this website it gives you those codes and letters to go ahead and acquire that. The lender may have a quicker way for you to obtain that DD-214 as well. So some of the costs associated with getting a VA loan, every lender is going to have their own fees, interest rate, and closing costs. With VA not being used a whole lot in Michigan, there's few lenders that actually specialize in it, so they may not exactly know what those fees are involved in it. There's only some fees that you can pay for, and others have to be incurred by the seller. So once again, using an experienced lender will help that process. So the one fee is the VA funding fee, and this is a fee that's it's basically like an upfront PMI fee, basically. So there's no monthly PMI fee, but there's an upfront fee with this loan. And as you can see here, they break it down to first time use and second use, as well as if you're just looking to refi, or even if you're assuming a VA loan. They also break it up if you're a VA or a National Guard or reservist, and here's the fee that's based on purchase price. So that's for 0 down to 5% down payment, and then they do from 5 to 10, and then more than 10. If you're using this for a second time, the fees are a little bit differently, as well as your refinance, the fee really goes down. So keep that in mind also. If you maybe are looking to refinance and out of a conventional loan now at a high rate, you might be able to use your VA eligibility to refinance. The appraisal is a fixed rate. If you have a combination of fees between your origination costs and some of the other fees, this may have to be incurred by the seller, but I work with lenders that have very low closing costs in Michigan. You can see for a single family residence and condo, the appraisal fee is $400, and their estimated time frame to get that ordered and done is 5 days. So, not too different than a traditional transaction. The pest inspection is the one fee that the seller has to pay for. They will not let you pay for that unless it's included with your home inspection. So this is something that you have to make sure the seller knows about, because the seller's agent may not know that they need to pay for this, and you want to be kind of upfront with them when you submit them a VA offer. So in all this process, it kind of comes back to experience in getting this transaction done. So you are allowed to include seller concessions. This is limited to 4% of the loan amount. However, not everything that is a cost to you is considered a concession. So a lot of times that 4% can almost cover everything, so you can get in 0 down. In Metro Detroit area, the property taxes are paid in advance, so sometimes a lot of your closing costs are actually prorating or reimbursing the seller what they've already paid, and a lot of times this can be included in that 4% to get you in for 0 down. So as you can see, there's a little bit of intricacies and difference in the VA loan process than a conventional or FHA loan. I work with experienced lenders that can kind of line up all three for you and show you what would be the best. You might qualify for different amounts for each loan product here. Out-of-state lenders, we see a lot of veterans going through USAA, just traditionally because they already have insurance through them or banking with them. I only use people that are in Michigan, Michigan lender that's familiar with the process, because we have different closing costs than other states do. and you need someone local. Some homes for sale, if you're out looking for a home and to purchase, they may not offer VA just simply because the listing agent doesn't know about it, or they they might be thinking 5 years ago in what's involved in the process and what fees were included by the that the seller had to pay for. So I actually structure a different offer letter to these agents that show them, these are the only fees that your seller will pay, so they know up front what they're getting themselves into, and to get you into the house for a cheaper cost. So if you're looking at a condominium, those condominiums have to be approved. Just as FHA, if you're doing FHA financing, a condominium has to be approved by FHA. VA has approvals as well. I simply just go to the website and see if they're approved VA. So sometimes I have buyers that are approved conventionally and VA, and if the condo complex is not approved VA, they just go conventional. So, but if you're only approved VA, we need to look at this ahead of time to make sure you're approved. There are some other resources that I'm going to put on this in the description, links to other benefits besides just real estate. Keep in mind that the VA does have this purchase process on their website. Also, if you are a permanently disabled veteran, there's a form you can fill out to exempt you from property taxes on your primary residence, as well as if you're just partially disabled. There's a form you can fill out to get a percentage excluded of your property tax. The Michigan legislature has also put out in 2016 a benefits guide for veterans. I'm going to put a link to that also in the description portion of my YouTube video, so you can have a link to this and see what other health benefits and other things that you may be able to use. As always, thank you for watching, and more videos to come. Please click subscribe, and I will be putting more updates on my YouTube channel as well as my website to help you keep informed about not only discounts and ways to save money in the home ownership, but also while you are living in your home as well. Thanks, and have a great day.